So sitting in your comfortably tall seat, feeling this sense of your pelvis as the base of your spine, your legs as the foundation of your seated pose. You might feel like rocking a little forward or a little back. You might like to shift slightly side to side, letting yourself settle in until you find a place where your spine is as relaxed as possible. Vertebra stacked on vertebra. You can just rest your hands on your knees or in your lap. And let's give ourselves a few moments to drop into this space. Starting to pay attention, paying attention to the support beneath you, being aware of the area that's occupied by your mat, being aware of the space that surrounds you. Being aware of what's going on in your mind. And giving yourself permission to set this next hour aside for your practice. I know for myself, working at home, being at home more, it's challenging. It's challenging to create the sense of ritual. It's challenging to create the sense of specialness in your practice, and it's so important. So let's give ourselves the next few moments to really set an intention for this practice, to set aside this time and space. And start to pay attention now to your breath. Length and the depth and the ease of your inhalations and exhalations. Noticing if one phase of your breath feels longer or easier than the other. If you notice a difference between the two phases of your breath, shift your attention to the phase that feels a little shorter. And then begin to lengthen both phases of your breath. If you're familiar and comfortable with the practice of Ujjayi Pranayama, bring yourself into your Ujjayi breath here. Tongue lightly resting behind top two front teeth, chin slightly lowered, soft palate slightly lifted. We can create this sound at the back of our throat, a sound that holds our attention. And it brings a little power and intensity to the breath. Let's continue breathing with Ujjayi Pranayama and start to move around in your hips a little bit. So we can rock over to one sitting bone, we'll rock forward, rock over to the other sitting bone, rock back. If it feels good to remain on your sitting prop here, you can do so. If you'd prefer to slide off your prop though, that's also available to you as we begin to circle around in our hips. You might find it makes sense to inhale through the front half of the circle and to exhale through the back half. You may find that your pace of motion and range of motion is a little faster or a little slower than mine, and that's okay. Let's take one or two more circles in this direction and then pause. And then take the circles around the other way. Beautiful. Continuing to circle with your breath, finding the rhythm that suits you, finding the range of motion that suits you. And eventually we'll spiral back to the center. And now if you're not in Baddha Konasana, bring yourself into Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet together, knees will drop out to the side. Once more, you are welcome to leave your hips elevated. Once more, you are welcome to slide off your sitting prop if that would feel better. We'll start to tip ourselves forward into a bit of a forward fold here. So the bowl of the pelvis will spill forward, spine will round forward. You could walk your hands out in front of you. You could even allow your forehead to begin to sink down towards the cradle of your feet. So as we come into this shape, it might be kind of interesting right off the bat. This one can get a little bit deep. So let's invite ourselves into this shape, supporting with our hands, and inviting opening with our breath. You may find that your spine wants to extend a little bit as you inhale. And you may be able to melt a little deeper into the forward fold as you exhale. There's a pulse here. It doesn't need to be static. Find a little bit of movement, maybe floating out of the pose with the in-breath, deepening with the out-breath. And finally, with an inhalation, you can walk your way upright. Let's take our hands just to the outside of our knees. Draw our legs out straight. You can rock your toes side to side, shake them out. If you are sitting on a prop here, slide it out from underneath you. So we'll slide the prop out. We're going to come down onto our backs now. So taking the soles of your feet to about the width of your hips or a little wider, you can hook your fingers into the backs of your knees if you like. We'll hug belly in and roll down onto our backs. Once you find the position on your back, tucking shoulder blades under, hugging belly in, pick your feet up. So we want to place ourselves with knees right over hips, shins parallel to the earth. We're going to do our best to maintain stability in pelvis and ribs here. So your belly's pulling in, strong core, your hands can rest down by your sides, and then nothing else moves. Just start to tap your toes down towards the floor, 1 foot at a time. Toes tap and then lift back up. They tap down and lift back up. Belly's hugging in, flattening out. Think about pulling your navel back towards your spine. Think about stabilizing pelvis and ribs towards each other so that nothing in your torso is moving, you're just moving your legs. When you've done this an equal number of times on each side, come back to the center, flatten out your belly and low back any little bit more. Reach your feet for the ceiling. So from here, we'll hug our lower front ribs in. Hug them in, lift your head and shoulders, and this lift is coming by dropping your lower ribs, not by reaching with your chin. All right, moving through a little ab series here. Next exhalation, reach your hands up towards your feet. You can inhale and lower, bend your knees, exhale, reach forward. Inhale and lower, take your legs wide, exhale, reach through. Inhale and lower, knees back together. Exhale, right hand reaches past your left knee. You'll inhale, lower, exhale, left hand reaches past your right knee. Inhale and lower, feet reach up, hands reach up. Bend your knees, reach forward. Take your knees wide, reach through. Take your knees together, right hand reaches left, and then left hand reaches right. Keep going, reach up, reach forward, reach through, reach left, reach right. Keep going, reach up, reach forward, reach through, reach left, reach right, reach up and forward and through and left and right. We're about halfway done. Reach up, reach forward, reach through, reach left, reach right, reach up, reach forward, reach through, reach left, reach right. 4 more, up, forward, through, left, right. 3 more, reach up and forward and through and left and right. 2 more, reach up and reach forward and reach through and left and right. Last one, reach up and forward and through and left and right. Set your head and shoulders back down on the mat. Set your feet back down on the mat. Let's let our knees lean in towards each other, feet wide. Take your hands to your belly. Let's take 3 deep belly breaths here. Breaths so deep that you can feel your hands lift and move away from each other on the inhalation. You can feel your hands sink down into your belly towards your spine on the exhalation. And let your hands come down by your sides. We'll bring our knees back in line with our feet. Feet stay wide. Hug your belly in. Press into your feet. Lift your hips up and off the floor. We're pressing down into the feet, maybe even pulling a little bit with our heels, lifting up into a wide-footed bridge pose. And then notice if you're squeezing in your glutes and popping your thigh bones up, maybe even bring a little bend into your hips here. Just a slight bend in your hips, thigh bones are dropping to the backs of your hip sockets, sides of the pelvis can lift up. Beautiful, let's exhale, roll down. This time, walk your feet together. So we'll keep our feet together, keep knees together, belly's hugging in. Once more, lift into your bridge. Once more, pull with your heels towards your shoulders. Once more, see if you can let the thigh bones drop towards the backs of your hip sockets as you lift. You can exhale and lower. This time, bringing your feet back to the position that you would normally do bridge pose in, about the width of your hips. Hands down by your sides. Let's hug belly in, press into our feet, and lift. And once we get here, it might feel good to maybe press into one foot, press into the other. Let your hips sway a little side to side. Eventually, we'll float back down onto our backs. Hug our knees in, and you can draw some circles, rock side to side, rock in and out, whatever feels good. Eventually, curl yourself right into a ball. Hands can come behind your knees. You'll round and curl, and maybe rock and roll a little bit. You can rock back towards your shoulders and forward towards your hips. Eventually, we'll rock and roll all the way to hands and knees. We've got hands under shoulders. We've got knees under hips. Once we get into this shape, let's continue with our circles. You can take your hips over to the right and forward. Take them over to the left and back. Right and forward, left and back. Circling with your breath, it might make sense to inhale through the front half of the circle and to exhale through the back half. And then we'll reverse the direction. Taking hips over to the left and forward, to the right and back. And eventually we'll spiral our way back to the center. Let's set ourselves up here. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Take your right foot back behind you now. So we're reaching out through the right toes, reaching out through the right heel. Hips are level. Try picking your right foot up now and just lifting it to about the height of your hip. So not too high, just lifting it up just to the height of your hip. Now let's try to keep both of our hands grounded, and we'll rotate right hip over the left and then back down. And right hip rotates over left and back down. Trying to keep both sides of your waist long here. Trying to stay grounded in both hands. Two more, lifting and leveling. Lift and level. You can bring your right knee back down. Let's try the other side. Reaching out through your left heel. Toes on the floor, hips level, and then we float the left leg up just until it's level with your hip, not too high. From here, trying to stay grounded, chest and shoulders squared towards the mat. We lift the left hip up and lower, and lift, and lower, and lift, and lower. Keep going, both sides of your waist long, both hands equally strong. Let's try one more. You can lower, come back to all fours, and now let's slide right knee forward in line with right wrist. You can tuck your left toes, walk back, and you'll be sitting on your right heel. So from here, let's start to rock our hips side to side. You can take your right hip down towards the mat, inhale through center. Exhale, left hip down towards the mat. Inhale through center. Rocking side to side, lengthening each side of your waist. Nice. And once you've done this an equal number of times to each side, come back through center. We'll take right knee back. We'll take left knee forward. And again, find that rocking motion. So you start off by sitting back onto your left heel and then rock. Left hip towards the floor, rock right hip towards the floor. And when you have rocked an equal number of times to each side, you can come back to the center. We'll place hands under shoulders. Come back to all fours. And then walk your knees out wide, like making that width apart. Big toes will angle towards each other. Sit back on your heels, and you can reach your hands out in front. Maybe you're on the tips of your fingers. Maybe your forehead comes to the floor. If you'd like to work in your shoulders a little bit, you could bring your elbows to the mat and start to drop your thumbs towards the base of your skull. Beautiful. From here, if your elbows are bent, re-extend your arms. Let's rock up onto hands and knees. This time, bring your knees together. And again, sit back on your heels, rounding forward into your child's pose. This time, forehead can come to the floor just in front of your knees. Hands back beside you. You can make fists and circle your hands around your wrists. Lovely. Walking your hands back out in front, rock up to hands and knees. You can flex your feet, tuck your toes. Before you lift into your downward facing dog, check in with the position of your spine. So tendency in this pose is sometimes for us to kind of overcompensate and tuck and squeeze. Or sometimes we end up sagging and overarching here. So try to find somewhere in between. Spine is long, hips reaching back, belly lifting, but there's a little curve in the lumbar spine. You can maintain that curve as you lift your knees off the floor and float. And you can maintain that curve as you continue to extend your arms and reach your hips up and back. Tip your sitting bones up any little bit more, maybe lift them a little higher, and then extend your legs, and you can walk your dog out, bending one knee as you straighten the opposite leg. Maybe it feels good to shift your hips side to side here. Maybe it feels good to turn your head side to side here. And as you continue to walk out your down dog, start to walk your feet closer to your hands. You can roll heel to toe. We'll walk forward, standing forward fold. Once you get here, bend your knees, allow your pelvis to spill forward. The pelvis is tipping forward around the heads of the femurs. Rounding down into your feet. You can take your elbows or your little fingers into the creases of your elbows and dangle. Maybe it feels good to lengthen one side of your waist and then lengthen the other. Lovely. From here, walk your hands out in front of you, maybe about, let's say, 6 inches in front of your toes. Knees can be bent here if they need to be. You can also put props underneath your hands if that's helpful to you. Let's start to bend the left knee a little more. Straighten the right leg a little more. Try to ground into the base of your right big toe. And as you inhale, you'll reach your right hand up and out to the side. Find a twist. You can exhale, unwind the twist. We'll switch sides. Right leg bends a little more. Left leg straightens a little more. And we can find the twist, turning to the left this time. As you exhale, unwind. Let's take one more breath in Uttanasana. As you inhale, you can softly bend your knees, come all the way up to standing. We're rooting down through our feet, stacking vertebra on vertebra. As you exhale, find a side bend. We'll slide right hand down right leg, reach through our left hand. Inhale back up through center. And exhale, side bend the other way. Left hand slides down your left leg. Inhale and reach. Exhale, let your hands come down to your heart and pause here. You're rooting down through your feet. You're pausing in your breath. Noticing what's here. Noticing where your mind is drawn. Maybe reminding yourself of your intention for your practice. Bringing yourself back to your mat if you need to. And let's inhale, take our arms up overhead. As you exhale, fold, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. We'll inhale and lift here. Soften our knees, right foot steps back. Reach out through your right heel, hug your thighs in towards the midline as you slide your left knee out over your left ankle. And then pick your fingers up. So we're just lifting from fingertips to shoulders. Lengthen the back of your neck. Hug your belly in. Lovely. Start to lift yourself up. Maybe you can activate your legs towards each other. Strong in your legs. Take your arms up overhead. Maybe there's even a back bend here. You could trail fingertips across the ceiling. Look up. One more breath in your high lunge. As you exhale, reach for the mat. And we'll step back, plank pose. Reach through your heels, reach through your crown, hold your plank. From plank pose, slowly lower to your belly. Let's lift one leg, lift the other, get hip creases connected to the mat. Hands are just forward of your shoulders. As you inhale, fronts of your shoulders will lift, base of your skull will lift, maybe your hands will lift. We'll exhale and lower. Hands just behind your shoulders now. As you inhale, lift a little higher, Bhujangasana. We'll exhale and lower. We'll lift one more time into our prone back bend. Maybe you slide your hands back a little more. Maybe you take upward dog this time. Front of the shoulders drawing back, heart drawing forward, head drawing back. We're trying to align shoulders and wrists here. Try one more breath. Nice. Exhale, back to downward facing dog, and make any little adjustments that would be helpful to you. So maybe it feels good to reposition hands or feet. Maybe it feels good to turn your head side to side. Maybe it feels good to rock a little forward, broaden your shoulders, and then press back once more. And from here, we'll inhale and lift right foot straight up and back. So hips are square. Right foot is lifting straight up and back. As you exhale, hug your knee in towards your chest. Shift forward. We'll inhale, press back. Exhale, shift forward, hug your knee into your chest, and step your foot between your hands. We've got our right ankle underneath right knee, inner thighs hugging to the midline, feet activating towards each other. Strong legs. Pick up your fingers. Maybe begin to reach up. Maybe trail your fingers across the ceiling and look up. If you're in the back bend, you'll inhale, lift your torso, exhale, hands reach for the floor. As you inhale, step forward, half forward fold to full forward fold. Inhale, knees soften, rise all the way to standing. Exhale, side bend right. We'll inhale to rise. Exhale, side bend left. Inhale to rise. And exhale, fold, Uttanasana. We can inhale, halfway lift. Soften knees, left foot steps back this time. Reach out through your heel, hug your inner thighs in. Let's pick up our fingertips. Let's reach for the ceiling. This time, as you exhale, take a twist to the right. So we'll hug inner thighs in. Exhale, twist, reach your arms in opposite directions. Nice. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, twist. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, twist. Hold the twist. Reach with your left hand and see if you can bring your left hand down to the floor as you continue to extend through your right fingers. Nice control. You guys look amazing. We'll try one more breath here. As you exhale, bring your right hand down to the mat. Step back, plank pose. This time, maybe chaturanga, coming forward on the balls of your feet. Elbows hug in, shift. Elbows, shoulders, hips, all the same height. And as you inhale, roll it through to upward facing dog. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. And again, make any little adjustments that would free this pose for you. Checking in with hands, checking in with feet. Maybe shifting shoulders forward, broadening, and then pressing the front of your mat away. You'll inhale and lift your left foot. Straight up and back, right heel is heavy. As you exhale, shift forward, left knee into your chest. We'll inhale, press back. Exhale, shift forward, left foot between your hands, inner thighs hug in. Let's pick it up, high lunge. Now with the exhalation, using the strength of your core, we'll twist left. Exhale, twist. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, twist. Inhale, unwind. Exhale, twist. Hold it. Start to reach your right hand down towards the floor. Left arm extends away from the right. We exhale, unwind the twist. Inhale, step forward, half forward fold, full forward fold with your exhalation. And let's inhale, rise all the way up. Beautiful. As you exhale this time, take your arms out to the side. We'll find external rotation. And then cross. Cross your right elbow under your left. Hug your shoulders. You can lift your upper arms away from your chest. You can take the backs of your hands towards each other, maybe even crossing again at the wrist. Upper arms lifting away from your chest. Forearms moving away from your face. Inner edges of your shoulder blades slide down your back. Check in with your jaw here. I say this because I just caught myself clenching my teeth. You might be too. Find some softness, a little space between your back teeth. A little release at the base of your tongue. Nice. Inhale, unbind, unwind, and then cross the other way. Left arm under, hugging your shoulders, and then backs of your hands together. Maybe crossing again at the wrist. Lift upper arms away from your chest, forearms away from your face. Inner edges of shoulder blades are sliding down your back. Nice. You can inhale, unbind, unwind. Let's take both arms up overhead. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lift halfway up. This time when you exhale, you're taking both feet back. So you might step. If you would like to hop, try to land in your chaturanga so you're not whiplashing your back. The lower. Inhale to lift, upward dog. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Pressing firmly into the pads of your fingers on both hands. Lift your right foot. And now stack your right hip over your left. As you twist your hips open, notice what happens. Try to stay grounded in your right hand. And try to stay strong and lifted in your left shoulder. From here, bend your right knee. You can drop your heel towards your left hip. You can even draw some big circles here. Finding a range of motion in your right hip. Next time you exhale, extend your legs, square your hips, and shift forward. Try to tap your right triceps with your right knee. We'll inhale and press back. Exhale, shift forward, and this time right foot touches down just to the outside of your right hand. So I've got the base of my big toe just about in line with the crease of my wrist. From here, I'll drop my left knee down to the mat. Point toes back, slide hips back a little bit, and I'm forward folding. So I'll take my right hand to the right side of my pelvis, trying to work this hip point into the inside of the right thigh. Maybe I can bring elbows down towards the floor. You could place a block or a prop underneath your forearms here. Maybe I even tuck right arm to the little toe side. From from here, I'll inhale, start to unbind, unwind, walking back up onto the palms of my hands. Now I'm going to move into extension in my left hip. So right knee is going to slide forward, left leg is extending back. I can allow my right toes now to turn towards the front corner of my mat. So my knee and my toes are pointing the same direction, and this might be your pose. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, maybe there's a twist. You start to turn towards your right leg. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you could flex your right foot and allow yourself to roll onto the outer edge of that foot. So we're in external rotation in the right hip. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper still, right hand could reach back. Maybe you can find your left heel and start to draw it towards your right hip. Let's stay with our breath. 2 more slow, deep breaths here. As you inhale, unbind, unwind, hands walk back to the floor and the inside of right foot. Left toes tuck, press up and back, and maybe you take a down dog, and maybe you take a child's pose, and maybe you take a vinyasa. Maybe you flow through Ekapada Vinyasa, leaving your right foot off the floor. Nice work. Let's float right foot back down. Reestablish our downward facing dog. And left foot lifts. We're letting the right heel be heavy, both arms nice and strong. Left hip now lifts over the right. Try bending your knee, left heel dropping towards right hip. And maybe even stirring this left thigh bone around a few times. Circling one way, circling the other. All the while strong in both shoulders. Eventually we'll square our hips, re-extend left leg, and as you exhale, shift forward, tap left knee to left triceps. Inhale, press back. Exhale, we will shift forward, left knee to left triceps, left foot to the floor, just to the outside of left hand. You can slide your right knee down, slide your hips back a little bit. So we're not in quite as deep an extension in the right hip. We're going for flexion in the left. We're going to try to work this left hip point to the inside of left thigh. Left knee is hugging in towards your left shoulder. Maybe your elbows start to sink down towards the floor. You could place a prop if that would be helpful to you. You might even take your left hand to the outside of your left foot and bow here. You can start to make your way out of this pose, unbind, unwind, walking back up onto the palms of your hands. Now find the extension in your right hip. Left knee slides forward, hips slide forward, right leg is extending back. This could be your pose. We could turn this into a twist. Left toes angle towards the front corner of your mat so that your toe and your knees are tracking the same direction. Left hand can find left knee and we can start to rotate. You can go a little bit deeper here, flexing your left foot, rolling onto the outer edge. So we're in external rotation in the left hip and extension in the right. Maybe you bend your right knee, reach back, find your foot, and roll your left shoulder back. If you've got a hold of your foot, let it go. You can bring your hands back to the floor on the inside of left foot. Tuck your right toes, lift your hips, press back. Maybe you're in down dog. Maybe you're in child's pose. Maybe you float through a vinyasa. Maybe Ekapada Vinyasa, leading left foot off the mat. Nice. Exhale, release, downward facing dog. Take a full breath here. And then bend your knees, look forward. Feet will move now to the outside of your hands. You can walk, you could step, maybe you can hop. Feet coming wide. And probably your heels will angle a little in. Probably your toes will angle a little out. That's totally fine. Let's take an inhalation and bend our knees, hips reach back, heart reaches forward, Malasana, wide-footed stance. So we take our hands in front of our hearts. Upper arms will press into your inner knees. If you're up on the balls of your feet, maybe it would feel good to roll your mat or double up your mat and give yourself some support. Let's see if we can lengthen between the sitting bones, drawing down and back, heart drawing forward and up, crown drawing up, base of skull drawing back. Let's try for 2 more slow, steady breaths here. And you can bring your hands down to the floor now. As you inhale, hips will roll up and back. Spine can roll up and back. Let's just take our hands to our knees and move with a little cat and cow here. So sitting bones reaching back, heart reaching forward. Exhale and round. Inhale to release your sitting bones back and wide. Exhale, hug your belly in. One more time, reaching back. One more time, hugging in. Let's roll all the way up to standing. And you can step your feet to the width of your hips. So standing now with your feet hip width apart, let's bend our knees a little bit. Find your center of gravity. Center of gravity will shift over your left foot. So shift it over, pick up your right. Foot is flexed. Let's externally rotate. I just got photobombed by my cat. You can cross your ankle over your left knee and start to take your hips back and your heart forward. And your hips back and your heart forward. Your hips back and your heart forward. And maybe your hands forward. Balancing temple dancer pose. Press firmly into your left foot. Stand back up. Try the other side. The center of gravity. You can shift your weight into your right foot. Pick up your left. Foot is flexed. We'll externally rotate. We'll cross ankle over right knee and take your hips back and your heart forward. Your hips back and your heart forward, and maybe your hands forward, and we balance here. Nice. Can you take your sitting bones back and wide just a little bit more? Ground into your right foot, stand it back up. Let's come back to the first side. This time, working our hands down towards the floor. And as you work your hands down towards the floor, stay bent in your knees. So we'll pick up the right foot, ankle crosses over, hips back, heart forward, reach forward, hands reach down towards the mat. But we stay bent in the standing leg knee. We're really looking for this rotation in the hip of your raised leg. Nice. All right, if anyone's feeling really hardcore, there's a toe balance that you can come into from here. You can stay right here if you like. If you want to give it a shot, extra tricky on carpet, you can work your right shin forward, sit down on your left heel. And maybe one or both hands come off the floor. Let's see, I feel like I'm gonna crash and burn. We'll give it a shot. There it is. Ah, nice, Lise, beautiful. Stand it back up. Other side. So we'll stand on the right foot. We'll pick up the left, external rotation, crossing ankle over, hips back, heart forward, hips back, heart forward, hands reach for the floor. And we're continuing to draw sitting bones back and away from each other. We're continuing to work with the right knee bent. This can be your pose if you want to try the toe balance. Lower your hips even more. You work this shin forward of your arms so you can sit down on your right heel. You're way up on the ball of your right foot. And maybe one or both hands are on the floor. Maybe one or both hands lift off the floor. Lovely. Making your way back up and out of the pose. Let's stand in mountain pose. Nice. So step your feet now to the width of your hips if they're not already there. We'll bend our knees a little bit, just enough to really allow the pelvis to spill forward. So we've got weight in the base of big toe, base of little toe, center of heel, hinging forward. Reach for your feet. And maybe you can get the palms of your hands right underneath the soles of your feet. So if you can, get your hands right underneath your feet. We want the toes coming right up to the crease of our wrists. Pada Hastasana. Padas are your feet, hastas are your hands. We've got our hastas under our padas. And you can shift your weight towards the balls of your feet so that you're stretching out your wrists and bringing your weight forward and lifting your sit bones all at once. From here, release your hands out from underneath your feet. We'll exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, stand all the way up. And now once more, shift your weight into your left foot. We'll pick up the right. This time, take your hands behind your right knee. We're plugging in palms to shoulders, dropping right sit bone down, and circle your right foot around a few times here. Point and flex, wiggle your toes, circle your ankle. And then let's bend and straighten this leg a few times. Nice. So the next time you bend your knee, lift that knee any little bit higher. Right hand now comes to your right shin, slide your knee up towards your shoulder, and then take this leg out to the side. So just notice, tendency here is to lift the right sitting bone. Try to drop it down, root down and through the inside of your left foot. Nice. Let's try to bring right foot now as high as we can on the left leg. Sole of your right foot to left upper inner thigh, pressing foot and thigh towards each other. Beautiful balance, everyone. Dropping knee down and back. If anyone wants a little challenge, you can move your arms around. You could even close your eyes. It's always a challenge. Lovely. From your Vrikshasana, let's release your right foot back down to the floor. Same pose, other side. So we'll root down to the right foot, pick up the left, starting with your hands behind your knee. And then circle your ankle around a few times. Circling one way, circling the other. And we'll bend and straighten our leg a few times. Nice. The next time you bend your knee, lift it up a little higher. Hands can interlace around your shin. We'll slide this knee up as we drop the sitting bone down. And then open your knee out to the side. And just notice if you tipped over to your right, try to hug in towards the midline, stay grounded through the inner edge of your right foot. And we can take left foot to right upper inner thigh, pressing foot in towards your thigh. Your arms can do whatever you like. You can play with some movement. You can take a side bend. You could reach up. You can really challenge your balance and close your eyes. Nice. Eventually, let's stand back on both feet. Come back to the first side. And I want to offer you some options here. So moving into our last standing pose, this is standing bound half lotus forward fold. Got a lot of words to it. We're going to take the right foot and work the outer edge of right foot to the crease of your left hip. So taking this foot into half lotus. See how that feels in your knee. If this is not okay in your knee, you're headed straight back to Vrikshasana, tree pose. If it's reasonable in your knee, foot goes here. All right, other options. Maybe you're hanging onto your right foot with your left hand. Maybe you take your right hand behind you and bind the foot. Or like me, I can get pretty close. So when I start to forward fold it, my toes come into range. I can switch hands halfway down and then reach left hand for the floor. So here's full posture. Forward folding over the half lotus. If that is not okay, you could be here. You could be here. You could be here, back to the temple dancer. Challenging balance and breath and concentration and hip and hamstring flexibility all at once. 2 more breaths. To come out of this pose, bend your standing leg knee on an exhalation. Stand up by pressing into your foot on an inhalation. Unwind your legs. And let's be symmetrical for a moment. So standing here, back to mountain pose. When you're ready, we'll switch sides. So weight comes into your right foot. You'll pick up your left, foot flexed, external rotation. See if maybe you could bring the outer edge of left foot to the crease of right hip. If this is reasonable in your knee, we're going here, dropping this knee down and back, this leg in half lotus. You could be here hanging onto your foot with your right hand. You could switch part way down. Maybe you take the bind. Maybe this is not okay in your knee at all, and you're working in Vrikshasana or you're working in Temple Dancer. Let's try for 3 more slow, steady breaths wherever you happen to be. To exit this pose, you'll bend your standing leg knee on an exhalation, press down into your foot, inhale to stand up, release the bind, and stand back on both feet. Rooting down into your feet in your mountain pose, arms down by your sides. Let's inhale, reach up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Plant your hands, take your feet back, and lower through your vinyasa, chaturanga. Upward dog. Downward facing dog. We're going to come through to sitting. You've got a couple of options. You can simply come to your child's pose and then shift your hips over. If you have a jump through in your practice, you can take your jump through. If, like me, you're sort of somewhere in between those two options, maybe you hop, cross your ankles, land beside your wrists, and extend your legs out straight. Nice. So let's now find a comfortable cross-legged seated position. You can take your right hand to your right knee, left hand to your right foot. We'll just kind of stir this leg around a few times. Nice. Take a hold of your right foot with your hands, one hand on each side. Now, as you inhale, you can extend the leg. As you exhale, bend your knee, and you kind of twist your torso away from the knee as it draws out to the side. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Let's go one more time. Coming back to the center, once more cradle your shin, and this time maybe hug it and sit tall. You might be here, left hand on your foot, right hand on your knee. You might be able to bring this shin all the way into the crook of your elbows. So if you can, you'll go here. And we'll cradle the shin, sit tall, roll our shoulders down and back. Nice. Release your right foot, same sequence, other side. So we'll take a left hand to left knee, right hand to left foot. Just gonna stir this thigh bone around a few times. And then hanging onto the edges of your foot. Inhale to extend, exhale, knee draws out to the side and you twist away from the knee. Inhaling to reach, exhaling to twist. Nice, coming back to the center and cradling your shin. So maybe hand on foot, hand on knee. Maybe bringing your shin right into the creases of your elbows. You're gonna hug your shin like this, cradle it next to your chest, sit tall, squeeze it in. Nice, and we can release the left foot. All right, coming back to the right. Let's take outer edge of right foot now to crease of left hip. Your heel comes right up to the inside of your hip point. Outer edge of your foot as high as you can on your left hip. And we'll take the left toes under right knee. See how this goes. If this is okay in your knees, stay here, Ardha Padmasana. If this is not okay, you are welcome to simply cross your ankles. All right, so let's inhale and sit tall here. With an exhalation, you'll twist right. And we'll take the back of left hand to the outside of right knee, maybe grab left toes underneath right knee. So we rotate our spines around to the right. Right shoulder rolling back, maybe even looking back over your right shoulder. Your breath can slow down now. Encourage it to slow down, encourage it deeper. Maybe you notice the pulse of breath in your twist. Twisting deeper with exhalation, unwinding with inhalation. And the next in-breath unwinds your twist completely. Let's change the cross of our legs. So we'll take the outer edge of left foot to the crease of right hip, bringing it right up, heel to the inside of your hip point if you can. Right knee supports, or right foot supports left knee. We'll sit tall here. If this is not okay, simply change the cross of your legs in your cross-legged seated position. We'll start into our twist, belly turning, ribs turning, chest and shoulders turning, right hand to the outside of left knee. Maybe you can grab your right toes under your left knee. We'll continue rolling our chest around. Left hand can reach for the floor. Maybe you even look back over your left shoulder. And we'll find the deepest breath we can here. You may find a little pulse. Inhales might unwind the twist slightly. Exhales might deepen the twist slightly. And we'll inhale, unwind. Uncross your legs. You can wiggle your toes, circle your ankles, whatever feels good. Moving into a final comfortable seated posture. So for some, that might just be sitting cross-legged. For some, that might be sitting with your legs straight out in front. For some, that might be a return to Baddha Konasana. We are as prepared as we're ever going to be for Padmasana, full lotus. So if anyone wants to join me there, you'll bring one leg in at a time. Foot to the crease of the opposite hip, maybe sliding the other foot in on top. So finding your comfortable seat. If you are in any other position besides half lotus or full lotus, you might want to grab your sitting prop and just pop it underneath you. We'll take the backs of our hands to our knees, palms facing up, and then touch index fingers and thumbs towards each other. Draw the base of our skull back and drop our chin a little bit. So see if you could almost imagine a circular sensation in your throat, lifting up the back of your throat, drawing forward and dropping your chin. There's this kind of energetic circle here. Nice. Tongue is lightly resting behind your top two front teeth, or maybe it's just hovering there. If you feel like a little more intense and interesting mudra, you can try taking the tip of your tongue back, just to where your hard and soft palates meet. Inquiring with the tip of your tongue up into the space in the center of your skull, up towards your third eye. And let's find our breath here. Even inhalations and exhalations. Perhaps counting the length of each breath. Perhaps extending that count with each breath cycle until you find a comfortable maximum breath. Not so long that it feels stressful, but certainly longer than is really natural or comfortable. Inquiring into a lengthening of breath. Maybe also inquiring into a lengthening of the pauses between the breaths. And we'll complete one more breath cycle. Allow this to be your longest and most interesting cycle yet. Long breaths, long pauses. And finally, you can release the mudra in your hands. You can release the mudra in your mouth. You can release the cross of your legs. And we'll roll down onto our backs. Take your feet to about the width of your mat. Roll yourself down onto your back and make any little adjustments that would help you be completely comfortable here. Maybe slide your shoulder blades down your back. Maybe rock your knees a few times side to side. Extend your legs out if that feels good to you. Maybe rock your toes side to side. And finally, settle in a place of stillness and comfort. Settling into your relaxation pose, into your Shavasana. Settling into the posture that will allow your body to integrate all of the changes that we've made through this practice. And here, notice if you're still holding tension anywhere. If there's work going on in your body that doesn't need to be there. Allow those places of resistance to release down into the support of the floor beneath you. Let go into the support of gravity. The embrace of the earth, the embrace of your breath. There's nothing more that needs to be done. You can simply be. Even your breath is effortless. The inhalations arrive, and the breath turns on its own, and the exhalations depart. And you simply receive the in-breath, surrender the out-breath. Effortless. And now gently disturbing your relaxation as little as possible, invite your breath deeper. Expand your belly with the inhalation. Release the exhalation with a sigh and let go of everything we've loosened and burned up with this practice. As it feels good to you, invite back some movement, fingers and toes, hands and feet, arms and legs. There's no right or wrong. Find the movements that feel delicious as you wake yourself up. And eventually those movements will carry you to one side. And finally, you can use the strength of your arms and help yourself up. Come up to a comfortable seat. Nice. Let's turn our palms out to the side, and with a slow, long inhalation, float our arms up overhead. Draw your hands down the midline of your body to your heart as you exhale. And let's close with an Om. You are welcome to join me from wherever you are. You are welcome to sit and listen. If you'd like to join, we'll inhale together and begin. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice, for sharing your homes, for sharing your day. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and namaste.